All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we actually have a tremendous hip-hop veteran right here live on the line. We got the one and only Masai Bey of the Weathermen right here live on the line. How are you doing this evening?
I'm all right, peace party people. I'm all right. I'm good, man.
Hey man, I gotta say that's the best way to be, man. I hope everything is all good on your end as well, man. I'm noticing that the United States is actually opening back up and doing shows. I gotta say, us people here at north of the border, we're definitely looking over the pond, jealous as hell right now.
It's crazy. It's all right, man. It's all good.
But I know you're a busy guy, so I'm gonna dive right into this broadcast, man. But I gotta ask, like, taking you back to the beginning of your iconic career this far, I have to ask, what originally made you decide to pursue a career within the music industry initially?
Uh, Really, seriously, probably Paper Mache single. Because prior to that, I just wanted to make music. I was just having fun doing it. It was something, it was something that I loved and I was always doing, so it was just easy to do. But after Paper Mache came out, it was kind of like I got an idea, I got a sight of where it can go.
And also as well, man, taking you to the year 1999, you actually made your lyrical production and scratching debut on the 12-inch single titled Polaroid Android that was actually released in England on DC Records. I was wondering, for listeners that might not know this amazing 12-inch single, can you tell us a bit more about that? And of course, how did you originally get connected with DC Records?
Well, I didn't really. That was through Cage and Space. And they were contracted to do a single with them, and they called me up and asked me if I would do a beat. So I made a beat. I went over to the house, went over to Cage's house, and then they asked me to get on both songs. So then I ended up being on both songs.
And I have to ask, was that actually when you guys actually came together and formed the Weathermen, or was it a little bit while after before you guys came together and made that group official?
It was a little bit after, but I don't know, the particulars on the Weathermen. To my understanding, when the Weathermen was originally going to be myself and Cage as a production team, but then one day Cage came to me and was like, maybe we should make it a whole team of like MCs and everything. And then it just expanded from there.
And I gotta say as well, you guys have done some phenomenal stuff as well. And I have to ask. Oh,
1 second, not to cut you off, but if you notice on the Cage's what is it? Four-letter word, I think, single, and it had the B-side merch. That song was produced by the Weathermen, so that was kind of technically the Weathermen's first project, first thing to come out of the Weathermen.
and if you don't mind me asking, what originally made him decide to add MCs rather than just keep it a production group, if you don't mind me asking? Was there a certain reason why, or did he just kind of go with the flow during those times?
Probably his connection with megahertz, and it just made more sense. It probably just made more sense to him at the time because he was building a friendship with megahertz at the time. So it was like maybe that was something they had, he had talked about with them. And then, when Cage presented it to me, he presented it to me like that. We could be a whole bunch of MCs. We got megahertz, and he started naming people, and it was like on go from there.
And also as well, July 3rd of 2003, the Weathermen actually released my personal favorite release, the mixtape titled The Conspiracy. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a story behind this iconic release, and of course, do you actually think there will be plans for a 20th anniversary release next year?
I doubt it, and I missed that record.
And I do got to say, that was such a phenomenal record. When I was actually looking through my collection, man, I was looking at that, and I couldn't believe that 2003 is almost 20 years ago, man. It just kind of, time definitely flies and goes right over your head.
Yes, it was a long time ago. But, maybe there will be a reunion if, everybody gets together and talks about it somehow. I don't know. It's possible. Anything's possible, really.
And also as well, the last question I got pertaining to the group is, I actually read as well that the Weathermen's debut album was set to be called The New Left, but unfortunately, it never got released. I was wondering, what actually made you guys decide not to release that album? And of course, do you think it will ever happen in the future? Do you think us fans will get the opportunity to hear that?
You got to ask L. You got to interview LP. Because he probably got that answer more than I can answer. I really can't say. You got to ask him.
And of course, January 31st, man, of 2006, you actually released the phenomenal 14-track album titled Natural Magic Music. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about this album, and of course, is it still out there to be streamed or purchased today?
It's about to be on uncommonnasa.com. They're doing my whole catalog. So far, they put out a few things, and they're putting out all the albums and EPs that I've done from from the Weathermen days up until now that a lot of people might have missed. So they're going to be on all streaming platforms. But if you check out uncommonnasa.com, you'll find out everywhere you can get what's going on.
And I gotta say as well, man, going back to that album, man, my personal favorite song off that record is actually Radical Radio, man. Always my go-to joint when I slide in that disc.
Yeah, that was fun. That was the dirtiest one.
And I gotta say as well, man, I also noticed as well that Mick Clinton actually was the executive producer, man. And I have to say, he did such a phenomenal job piecing together that record, man. He definitely did a superb job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And also as well, man, you have actually done a substantial amount of work alongside Mr. CKOR-D. I was wondering, how did yourself and Mr. CKOR-D get connected? And of course, what was it like working with him in the studio?
Well, me and Mr. CKOR-D, we lived probably maybe 10 miles from each other or so. And I was performing in his town one night, and we met that night. His group was performing also, and we met that night, and it was like we were brothers from that moment on.
And I have to ask, man, do you guys actually have any up and coming projects currently in the works, or right now are you guys just doing your own solo stuff?
Well, the team MHB is working on something right now, so there's going to be a lot of stuff coming right now, and a few members got some stuff going on right now. And as far as me, I don't know. I mean, lyrically, I'm probably retired, but I'm still making beats, and I'm still, getting that going.
And I know this might sound like a cliche type of question, man, but when you said you're right now you're currently lyrically retired, man, what do you think would actually bring you out of retirement to just do one last verse, man? Like, what do you think would actually make you be like, you know what? Let me pick this microphone up one more time.
Having something to say. Everything I've kind of needed to say is in my catalog, so I don't really want to beat a dead horse, so I got to have something ridiculous to say, or else it ain't even worth it.
I got to say, I definitely respect that, man. And you definitely got a lot of content already out there, man, so I can definitely respect that. But hopefully, man, down the line we might hear one more verse from the one and only Masai Bey.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be something. I just can't tell you when. It could be next week. It could be 2 years from now.
And also as well, man, you actually teamed up with BMS to actually release the phenomenal album C87. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about this album. And of course, where can we actually buy or stream ourselves a copy today?
Uncommonnasa.com. You can find it there. He and I, I've known him since we were 16 years old. That's my brother. So he had I guess he moved to a new apartment, new house, and he had got a nice little studio set up. Got some equipment and set up this equipment, and we was learning how to use the equipment, use the setup. So we was recording at the same time, the stuff. So what you're hearing in that record is us learning how to use the setup. It's almost in real time. The songs are made just, during that time, trying to figure out how to use this equipment.
And I gotta ask as well, do you actually have any hard copies available of that phenomenal record for the old school? I hurts me to even say old school, man, but everyone always says hard copy collectors are old school. But do you have any hard copies available for our listeners that do still collect CD copies?
Not any CDs, no. We don't have any more. They are all sold out, all of them. And we haven't done a repress. We didn't know if there's going to be a demand for them or not,
And I gotta say, I definitely respect that, man. It's very unfortunate, man, to see CDs go. It's been I gotta say, they just started actually like fading out a couple years ago, man. I remember at Walmart they used to have just racks upon racks. Now you got one little cube rack on the wall of just the new ones, and it's definitely sad to see something you just grew up using and buying all the time slowly disappear.
Yeah, they got more vinyl than CDs.
Yeah, I know, man, and it's crazy because it's almost like we're going back in time, but then we're kind of going forward and back. The universe is definitely a strange place to live in.
Yeah, it's a thing. Definitely.
But I have to ask, man, what is next for yourself, Masai Bey, man? Is there anything we happen to miss during this broadcast? Anything else you still want to talk about or promote? Well, we still got you here live on the Canadian FM dial this evening.
I'm working on beats, music, beats. That's it. That's it.
And I have to ask, man, because I do know we have a lot of underground and independent hip hop artists that do listen to this station, whether it's a live broadcast here on the radio station or the replay. How, if you are selling these beats, how can our listeners go about contacting you to just actually potentially buy a Masai Bey beat?
They can email me, mbaymusic@gmail.com. That's mbaymusic@gmail.com. Or they could send me a message on Instagram, at Masai Bey, whatever. They'll find me.
And also as well, man, this is the time in the interview quickly that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves, just a chance to give shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to. And I know you already dropped your Instagram and your email, but if you can, unload the rest of those social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you all across the board.
Let me see. I mean, pretty much Instagram, Twitter. You can find me on Facebook, all at Masai Bey, MASAIBEY. Go to uncommonnasa.com. That's where, the whole catalog is being released through. And that's it, pretty much. Look out for MHB, Money Hungry Bastards, Mike Hungry Brothers, Most Hot Beings. Look out for some of that.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, Masai, thank you so much, man, for just giving us a little bit of your time here this evening and sliding into the 97.7 FM airways, man. It definitely was an honor and most definitely a privilege. And hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon. But for now, definitely have yourself a wonderful night and definitely be safe out there.
You too. Thanks, man. Absolutely. I'm in.